Islam. Okay. So, as I was saying, okay, it's very important to understand these records that we put in place. All right. Now, we put these records in place, and based on what they found, it was only 1500 BC, 3,500 years ago, when we separated. And as one, we were the only people on the planet at one time. Okay, so the planet was all one name. It wasn't Pangea. That's a modern term given to it. There's nothing wrong with the term. That's not what we called it. We called it Mu or Lemuria. That's a European term. Some people call it Am- Amaruka or Limu or Tamu or um, Amexem or Atlantis. These are the terms that we gave this land. We gave this land these terms, okay? And it's very important to understand that. Thus, as one, we were all connected. And when we were all connected, you see the Moors doing their own thing. We was on both sides. And just because the land is separated, we're not different people. Our facial features and phenotypes are different because of our regions that we have grew up in, right? But we're not different people. We're Moors on the eastern hemisphere, we're Moors on the western hemisphere, okay? And the European brothers and sisters are very aware of this because they're the ones who taught and trained this information during the Renaissance, 1500s, 1600s. They were taught all this information when they went into Egypt or Alexandria, and before then, Plato, Socrates, okay, Solon, all of these great philosophers that was coming into Africa, or Alkebalan at the time. Some people called it Ethiopia, okay, and studying. And when they was brought this back to the church was like, well, we can't tell that information because nobody will come to church. No one will believe a word we got to say. So they don't tell that information. They tell a different type of information. Thus, they commission certain people to come up with these new brands. Like, for example, evolution was done by a brother who was commissioned by the church, Charles Darwin. Okay? But there's no proof in that. Right? Then you have the terms of black and Negro. These terms were coined with the Christian black codes of 1724. The church came up with this coming out of the Spanish Inquisition, French Inquisition, Spanish Inquisition, French Revolution, okay? Doctrine of Discovery, Intercatera Divina, Dum Diversus, okay? All of these things that were put in place, all right, where this is how we're going to deal with these Moors when we go to America. We're going to have Christian black codes in place, yeah, right, for those Moors who are not being either true to themselves or either not following these principles, or the Moors that made an agreement with us to help us in this corporation. These are the terms you want to deal with. All right. So around 1724, the church came up with Christian black codes. Okay, and commissioned a few people to classify the human family. Okay, and these people who were commissioned are from the 1600s to the 1700s are Francois Bernier in 1684. He was the first person to classify the human family based on physical characteristics. These characteristics are cranial size, skin color, facial features, and hair texture. Okay? Then you had Carlos Linnaeus, 1758. He classified the human family into four groups: Americanus, Asiaticus, Europeanus, and Africanus. And then in 1793, you have Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, who described the classification of humans as Caucasian, that's white, Mongolian is yellow, Malayan is brown, Ethiopian is black, and American is red. Alright? These men set the foundation of what would come in the 1800s, political agenda to create their own caste system within the caste system we already had in place. Okay? And the Christian-backed codes are very simple. You know what I'm saying? Now you want to look at the term black. Alright, now according to the online dictionary here, online etymology dictionary, it says the origin of the word black is from, how do you say that? Proto-German? Blake, black or black in, but that is Old English. Black Old English. Okay? Black or black in, to burn. From, how you could say, Indo-European, Proto-Indo-European, Post-Indo-European. I think that's what that represents. Blake means burn or to gleam. Greek is Phalangian, to burn or to scorch. Latin is phalagier, to blaze, to glow, to burn. I'm gonna put all these images up after the video so everybody can understand what I'm reading here. Okay, I want to be very clear, concise what I'm looking at. The same root word is Blake, black, white, bright. It says go see bleach for the common tertiary meaning lack of hue. The main Old English word for black was swart. In Middle English, it is often doubtful word black, blake, black, bleak, black, dark, or pale means black or dark. It more or less represents pale, colorless, wan, or livid. Okay, that's the term of black. Okay, so I'm gonna try to show that to y'all now. I don't know if y'all can be able to see it though. If you see this is what I'm reading here. I don't know if it'll focus. See, it said online etymology dictionary. I don't know if it's focusing, but okay. So that's what I'm reading. It's a little blurry. So that's black. Alright, so black, they say, when they say black, they say look at bleach. Black and bleach is etymology. We're talking language now, linguistics, etymology. They don't teach this in school. Unless you go to college or something like that. Maybe certain private schools, they might teach it. Alright, but they don't really teach this stuff. Okay? So when you say black, and then look at bleach, because etymologically, black and bleach is the same word, same consonant. Consonants mean they say the same. Vowels are interchangeable. So B-L-A-C-K and B-L-E-A-C-H. It's basically the same word. So it means to brine, to burn. Okay, so that's black. And let's go look at the term white. Okay? White. White persons. According to Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Okay, white person is members of the white or Caucasian race as distinct from black, red, yellow, and brown races. This is as of the Naturalization Act of March 26, 1790. Okay. Now we're talking about the Naturalization Act. Now the Naturalization Act is the Europeans use that they got adopted into. When you see Europeans come to Ellis Island and get naturalized, people from Africa or Asia and they come to America, right? They get naturalized. All right, there's 4 types of citizens here. Okay, 4 types of citizens here. All right, and you could either be nationalized or you could be a national citizen. Let's see if that's on. Can you see that? Clear the mind. Can you see that, y'all? It's not really focusing. It's looking all blurry though, so you can't really see what I'm reading. But okay. But that's okay. You don't have to. You can look it up for yourself. If you choose to, you don't have to. So there's 4 types of citizens, okay? You have a national citizen, okay? A national citizen is the highest ranking citizen. All right, it's natural, aboriginal, indigenous. Indigenous inhabitant of the land. They have unalienable rights or unalienable rights. They are the heirs to the land. That's a national citizen, and they are part of a nation. They are of the soil. That's national. Then you have naturalized. That's what the European brothers and sisters are, Islam. Naturalized is the second one, okay? Naturalized says they came here to become citizens through naturalization. They are granted and clothed with rights and privileges. They are resident aliens under treaty. All right, so they are brought in and they're given rights and privileges. So when people come into Ellis Island, what do they got to do? They got to take a test. They got to, right? And after you take a test and you understand the Constitution and the oath, then you're sworn in. And after you live here for about, 7 years or something like that, and then you can have your naturalized, you can have citizenship. So you'll be granted with certain privileges and rights, right? You don't own the land. You don't inherit the land. Like if you buy a house, that's not like your house permanently. That's your house for as long as you want to take care of it, because the house is sitting on a land that was already here and that already belonged to someone. So you can't really own it, but you can use it. You can occupy it for however long as you want to. Okay? Then the third rank citizen is a subject citizen, Islam. The subject is subject citizens in corporations. United States of America, U.S., the state of Ohio, white, black, Negro, colored, Spaniards. They are granted and clothed with rights and privileges. So you're a subject, so you're subject to. Okay? You're subject to it. Okay? And then there's 4, that's alien. That is foreigners who remain as foreigners with allegiance to their first land while residing in America. So aliens have green cards, they have working visas, okay, meaning they're here under certain terms and conditions. You can live here, you can work here, but your allegiance is either with China or Europe or Africa or Australia or some other country. All right, but you can be here under certain terms and conditions. That's what you call a resident alien. Okay, so there's 4 types here. Okay, and it's very important to understand the distinction. So I'm focusing on 1800s when you talk about now in the 1800s. This is when they changed it, because the Moors had a classification, a caste system already in place. Our caste system is not based on color. It's not based on nationality. It's based on science, the zodiac wheel, and it is based on nationality, where you come from, because that's where your inheritance is vested. For example, if I go to Kenya, I can live in Kenya all I want, and I might even be able to get citizenship in Kenya, right? But I won't ever be able to rise to the rank of a chief in Kenya. I won't ever run Kenya, the country. No, because that's not my job. That's not my role. That role is for the Kenyans. That role is for those who are already there. That's their job. Only they can be the chief. Only they can be the rulers. And can't nobody go in Kenya and run Kenya except for those Kenyans. You understand what I'm saying? Okay? And that goes for every country on this planet. And the same thing here in America. Can't nobody run America except the America or the Moors falsely called Indians. The Europeans can't run America and they can't become Americans. But what they can do, they can have a corporation and they can have citizenship within that corporation. So people can come here and become a citizen of their corporation and a member of their corporation, which is labeled as citizenship. Right? But they can't run it and they can't own the land because that's not their role in the family. Their land is somewhere else. Their land is either in Europe or it's in China or it's in Africa or it's somewhere else. Right? That's how it makes sure that everybody in the family will always have something. No one will ever be without. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what's going on. And for our European brothers and sisters, because they are not natural to the planet, they are a mixture between us and chimpanzees. When I say us, I mean us, like my branch, not the brother from the Congo or the brother from Ethiopia, or they might have mixed in with them, but they don't descend from that line. They're like, no, because that's not how the experiment went. The experiment was a mixture with us. We did the experiments here, and then they were transported to England or to Europe, and then that's when they started to mix in with our Moors on that side. You see what I'm saying? But they don't necessarily descend from them. You see what I'm saying? Even though there is some mixture there. Islam. So let's go back to free white person. Now this is the key. Free white person. Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition. I wish this thing would focus, but it's not really focusing right now. But I'm trying to get that free white person, Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition. That's what I'm reading. And we got free white person, referred to in Naturalization Act as amended by the Act of July 4th, 1870. So this is from the Naturalization Act of 1870. White persons came from the Naturalization Act of 1790, coming right after the Revolution, right after the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, right? 1789. Then you got white persons, right? This is 1870. So they had to adjust the Naturalization Act because now they're getting an influx of those who were not included in the first one. You see what I'm saying? You get an influx of Irish and Russian and Asian and Hindustanian and Moors from Africa, right? Or Al-Kebalan, and they're not within the first one. So they have to adjust it. All right, free white person. Referred to the Naturalization Act as amended by July 14th, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it naturally when first used Statute 103C3, denoting or meaning all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries which they have immigrated. That's what the original term for it. But now they go into what it actually means. Free white person. Talking about a free person. A free white person includes all European Jews or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Moors again, Lapps and Finns, and the Basques and Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. There's the Moorish right there. The mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, Moors again, North African, Moors again, of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia, Moors. It does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races. I'll say that again. Free white person, it does not mean Caucasian race, Aryan race, or Indo-European races, or the Dravidian, that's Hindu, Semitic, that's Arab, and Mongolian, that's Asian, peoples who inhabit Persia. Assyrian of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person. Okay? Thus, the only free people are the Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African of Sicily. You have to be mixed to be free, because it's the Moors who created it. Okay? And if you're not a Moorish or mixed Moors, you cannot be free. You could be Dravidian or Hindustanian, but that's not, you can't be free here in the United States under their caste system. You can be Semitic, Arab, but you can't be free in the United States Corporation. And you can be from Mongolia, that's Asia, China, Japan, Korea. But within the United States, you can't be classified as free. You know what I'm saying? You could be a citizen, but you can't be a free citizen. Okay? You could be subject to. Okay? Because the United States was created for Europeans. And that's it. Alright? There wasn't all these other Hindus, the Arabs, the Mongolians were not represented in the Continental Congress. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they cannot be called free, because they did not create it. They can be here, but they can't be free. Okay? And it's very important to understand that. Now, once again, Black Law Dictionary, 3rd edition, citizen. It says all natives are not citizens of the United States. The descendants of the Aboriginals and those of African origin are not entitled to the rights of citizens. That Constitution does not authorize any but white persons, quote unquote Europeans, to become citizens of the United States. And it must therefore be presumed that no one is a citizen who is not white. Okay? So you can be, all the other nations can be here, but they can't be classified as free because Europeans themselves are not free. Okay? So I want to speak on black and white. And then when you hear people talk about running around and calling these terms, oh, I'm black or I'm white, you know what I'm saying? It's very important to understand what they're really saying. Okay? It's very understand because it's a verbal agreement. They're speaking it with their mouth. They're saying I'm black, meaning I'm subject to. You see what I'm saying? Now let's go on the word black. We want to look at that. And when you said the church came up with them Christian black codes in 1724, let's look at some of those Christian black codes of 1724. I got them right here in the book, and I'm going to read. Let's say the black codes right there. I'm going to read some of these black codes. You understand what I'm saying? So people can understand what the term black is. Okay? And why, when you start using those terms, be very mindful about what you're saying. Okay? Negro is another one. Okay? So you gotta understand you're calling yourself a subject. Subject to. Okay? Okay. So, let's look at these black codes. Article 1 decrees the expulsion of the Jews from the colony. Article 2 make it imperative on masters to impart religious instructions to their slaves, quote unquote. No such thing as slaves, but to their servants, those who are in servitude. Article 3 permits the exercise of Roman Catholic creed only. Every other mode of worship is prohibited. Article 4 Negroes placed under the direction of supervision of any other person than a Catholic are liable to confiscation. As long it said Negro. What's a Negro? Okay, well look at the term Negro. Negro says here. The word Negro. Let's look into it. You understand what I'm saying? Let's look into it. Okay, so you understand what we're looking at here. The word Negro. Can you see that? Negro. Right there. Negro. So let's look at the word Negro. Okay? It says right here in the word Negro, it means a black man, one descended from African race, and does not commonly include a mulatto. Felix v. State, 18 Alabama, 720. But the laws of different states are not uniform in this respect, some including the description Negro, one who has 1/8 or more of African blood. Term Negro means necessarily person of color, but not every person of color is a Negro. You catch that? Term Negro means necessarily a person of color, but not every person of color is a Negro. You see what I'm saying? That's just a classification. Do you call yourself a Negro? If you do, well, then these are the codes that apply to you. Okay? Article 5. Sundays and holy days are to be strictly observed. No working. All Negroes found at work on these days are to be confiscated. Alright? This is why some Moors go to church on Sunday. Right? It comes in the Christian Black Code. It ain't got nothing to do with anything else. Okay? Article 6. We forbid our white subjects of both sexes, male and female, to marry with the blacks, under penalty of being fined and subjected to some other arbitrary punishment. We forbid all curates, priests, and missionaries, or secular or regular clergy, and even our chaplains and our navy to sanction such marriages. We also forbid all other white subjects and even the mutilated or freeborn blacks to live in a state of concubinage so the freeborn blacks who are not slaves and the Moors who have been designated in servitude, they don't want them to mix. Should there be any issue from the kind of intercourse, it is our will that a person so offending and the master of the slave of the servitude or the servant should pay each a fine of 300 livres. Should say this issue be the result of concubinage of the master of the slave, said master shall not only pay the fine, but be deprived of the servant and of the child, who shall be educated to the hospital of the locality, and said servant shall be forever incapable of being set free. Forever incapable. You see what I'm saying? So it's inherited. So it's from generation to generation to generation to generation. Okay? That's Article 6. When said servant, according to the forms prescribed by the church, said servant shall thereby set free, and the children shall become free and legitimate. And in such a case, there shall be no application of the penalties mentioned in the present article. Okay? Article 7. The ceremonies and forms prescribed by the Ordinance of Blois and the Edict of 1691 for marriage shall be observed both with regard to free persons and servants. but the consent of the father and mother of the servant is not necessary. That of the master shall be the only one required. Article 8. We forbid all curates to process to effort marriages between servants without the proof of the consent of their master. And we also forbid all masters to force their servants into marriages against their will. Okay? Article 9. Children issued from this marriage of servants shall follow the condition of their parents, and shall belong to the master and their wife, and not of the husband, if the husband and the wife have different masters. Okay? So there's many of these. There are how many articles? 54 articles. You have 54 articles. In the name of the king, Feliz Blucher Perry, March 1724. De la Gracie. Okay? So it's very important to understand these codes. When you're calling yourself black, or I'm black and I'm this black, and to understand what you are subjugating oneself to. Okay? Because the codes did not go anywhere. Okay? We are Moors. We're not blacks. As Moors, we are free white people. We can do what we want when we want. But as Negroes, as blacks, as colors, as white people, you're not free. You're in servitude. And that servitude is generational. It's handed down from one generation to another generation to another generation. All right, you can't get out of the servitude because that is the terms of the contract. That is the term of the agreement, number one. Plus, the servitude is also a part of a penal system. You got to understand, when the European brothers and sisters got here, okay, it was a part of a penal colony. They used people and they brought people here to work, from a child all the way on up. Same thing in Barbados, same thing in Australia, same thing happened in Africa. It's a penal system. Okay? Feudal system. Okay? And that's why they wanted to declare their independence from England and start their own with the Constitution. But they didn't start a nation. They started their own private corporation because the nation was already here. Yeah, the history of the culture of the old man. You see what I'm saying? The nation was already here. You understand what I'm saying? You get that? So when you see all of these pyramids and these mounds, right? The nation, whether it be in Mexico, okay, or it be above Mexico, either or, the nation was already here. The nation is not new. The people was already here. So they created a corporation. And we are the same people.